There are moments when you realize your entire professional reputation is hanging by a thread. Or in my case, hanging by a severed fiber optic cable. I'm standing in my front yard at 6:30 a.m., wearing nothing but a bathrobe and boxers, staring at a cleanly cut internet cable while simultaneously holding two phones, my personal cell wedged between my ear and shoulder, and my work phone clutched in my increasingly sweaty palm. "Mike, I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation," Chancellor Williams says, her voice tight with controlled panic. "We have 4,000 students scheduled to take online finals starting in exactly 1 hour and 28 minutes. "Yes, I understand, Chancellor," I reply, trying to keep my voice level despite the mounting horror in my chest. "I'm on with Comcast right now." On the other line, a customer service rep named Brandon is suggesting, with infuriating cheerfulness, that I try turning my router off and on again. "Sir, have you checked if the modem is receiving power?" Brandon asks. "The modem is fine," I say through gritted teeth. "The cable has been physically cut. Someone literally took garden shears to it." As if on cue, I see movement through the blinds of the house across the street. Brenda Winters, HOA president and suburban dictator, peering out at me. The morning sunlight glints off something in her hand. Garden shears, still in her death grip. "Chancellor, I need to call you back," I say, my eyes locked on Brenda's partially hidden face. "I think I've identified the saboteur." "Mike, this better be fixed in the next hour, or—" I hang up before I can hear the rest of that threat. I know exactly what's at stake. As IT Dean of Westlake University, I've spent the last 6 months modernizing our entire testing infrastructure. Today is meant to be our triumphant proof that higher education can embrace digital transformation. Instead, I'm about to become the cautionary tale professors tell their IT students for generations to come. "Brandon," I say into my other phone, "I need an emergency technician, now, not tomorrow, not in the next available 4-hour window between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., now." "I understand your frustration, sir, but the earliest appointment we have is—" "Do you understand that this isn't just about me missing a Zoom call? This is about 4,000 college students potentially failing their finals because my neighbor has lost her mind." I take a deep breath. My outburst has drawn Brenda further into view. She's watching me now without pretense, arms crossed, garden shears nowhere to be seen. Her perfectly coiffed silver bob doesn't move an inch in the morning breeze. "Sir, I'm the Dean of Information Technology at Westlake University," I say, summoning my most authoritative voice. "Our entire online testing system is routed through my home network as a backup authentication point. I need this fixed immediately, or there will be serious consequences for Comcast's contract with the university." This is, admittedly, stretching the truth, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Brandon puts me on hold. I use the opportunity to call Raj, my associate dean and best friend since grad school. "Please tell me this is a sick joke," Raj says by way of greeting. "I wish. How bad is it looking on your end?" "Systems are starting to time out. Without your home server for the authentication relay, the load balancers are getting confused. We've got maybe 30 minutes before the whole thing crashes." There's a pause. "Mike, how the hell did your cable get cut?" I stare across the street at Brenda's house, with its perfectly manicured lawn and regulation-compliant everything. "Remember when I told you about my HOA president? The one who sent me a violation notice for having my trash cans visible for an extra 20 minutes last month?" "No way." "Way. She left me a notice yesterday about unauthorized cable installation being visible from the street. I ignored it because, it's a standard Comcast cable that's been there since before I moved in." "So she just cut it? Is that even legal?" "I'm pretty sure it's not, but that's a problem for later. Right now, we need to—" Brandon comes back on the other line. I tell Raj I'll call him back. "Sir, I've escalated your case. and we can have a technician there by noon. Noon? That's... I check my watch. Nearly 6 hours from now. I'm very sorry, but that's the earliest we can... I hang up. I consider my options, which seem to be rapidly dwindling to zero, when my peripheral vision catches movement. Brenda is marching across the street toward me, wearing khaki capris and a polo shirt with the Oakview Estates logo embroidered on the chest. Her face is set in that particular expression unique to people who are absolutely certain they're in the right. I tighten the belt on my bathrobe, painfully aware I'm not dressed for a confrontation. "Good morning, Michael," she says with artificial pleasantness. Only my mother and people who are furious with me call me Michael. "Morning, Brenda. Doing some early gardening?" I ask, nodding toward her house. "Community maintenance," she corrects, as if this explains everything. "I see you've discovered the cable issue." "Issue? You mean the fact that someone cut my internet cable on the morning of university finals?" I'm trying to stay calm, but my voice rises with each word. Brenda's smile doesn't waver. Section 47.3b of the HOA covenant clearly states that non-standard cables visible from common areas must be approved by the Architectural Review Committee. You received notice of this violation yesterday. So your solution was to cut it? Instead of, I don't know, giving me more than 24 hours to respond? Rules exist for a reason, Michael. Oakview Estates has maintained its property values precisely because we enforce these standards uniformly. I run my hand through my hair, which I suddenly realize is sticking up in all directions. Brenda, do you understand what you've done? You've potentially derailed final exams for 4,000 students. She has the audacity to look unmoved. That sounds like a university planning issue. Perhaps next time you'll submit the proper forms in a timely manner. She glances at my bathrobe. The committee meets again in July. I suggest you attend, properly dressed, of course. Before I can formulate a response that won't result in me being arrested, my phone rings. It's Raj. "I've got to take this," I tell Brenda, turning away. "Systems are crashing," Raj says without preamble. "Students are starting to email. The chancellor's office is getting flooded with calls." "Okay, listen. I need you to check if we can reroute through the backup server in the Comp Sci building." "Already tried. It's not working because it needs to handshake with your home server first." I close my eyes. Of course. That was my brilliant security protocol to prevent anyone from bypassing the main authentication system. "I'm going to try something," I say. "Tell everyone to hold tight." I end the call and dial a number I don't call often enough. "Mike?" Sarah's voice sounds surprised. My ex-wife is not accustomed to hearing from me at 6:45 a.m. on a weekday. "Hey, Sarah. I need a massive favor. How fast can you get to my house with some of that specialized equipment from your work site?" "What? Why? Are you okay?" "Not really, it's an emergency, and you're the only contractor I know who might have what I need." There's a pause. "This sounds crazy, but okay, I can be there in 20 minutes. Zoe's with me. We were heading to her early volleyball practice." Great. Just what I need. My teenage daughter witnessing my professional meltdown in real time. But beggars can't be choosers. "Thank you. I'll explain everything when you get here." By the time Sarah's truck pulls into my driveway, I've changed into jeans and a Westlake University t-shirt, and my front yard has become command central. I've got my laptop set up on a folding table, powered by an extension cord running from my garage. Raj is on speaker, and I've got the chancellor on video conference on my tablet. Brenda is now watching openly from her porch, joined by 2 other HOA board members who've mysteriously materialized. Sarah steps out of her truck, looking both concerned and amused. She's wearing work boots and a company logo polo shirt, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Even after our divorce, seeing her still stirs something in me. Please tell me that woman across the street isn't why you called me, she says by way of greeting. The very same. She cut my internet cable. Sarah's eyebrows shoot up. She what? HOA violation, apparently. Our daughter Zoe climbs out of the passenger side, her volleyball gear slung over her shoulder, looking mortified. Dad, what is happening? Why is Mrs. Winters staring at you like you killed her cat? Because your father, Sarah says, somehow managed to move into the one neighborhood with an HOA president crazier than our last one. You moved into an HOA community? Sarah continues, opening the back of her truck to reveal an assortment of construction equipment. Did you suffer a head injury I don't know about? It was a good deal and close to campus, I mutter, leading them to the cut cable. Can you splice this temporarily? I just need a few hours until Comcast can get here. Sarah kneels down to examine the damage. They cut it right at the ground entry. Not much to work with. Mrs. Winters is psycho, Zoe says, keeping her voice low. Madison's mom is in her book club, and she says Brenda once measured the height of everyone's grass with a ruler during a drought. Not helping, Zoe, I say, though I file this information away for later. Actually, I think I know something that might help, Zoe says. Madison also said Mrs. Winters got in huge trouble last year for removing a satellite dish from the Rodriguez's roof without permission. They almost sued her. I look at my daughter with newfound appreciation. That might actually be very useful. Sarah stands up, brushing dirt from her knees. This is worse than I thought. The cable's been cut too close to the ground. We need a different approach. My phone rings. It's the Chancellor again. Mike, the system is completely down. What's happening? Working on it, Chancellor. I've got help here now. The press is calling. Do you understand what a disaster this is becoming? University finals sabotaged by neighborhood dispute is not the headline we need right now. As if on cue, a news van pulls up at the end of my street. Are you kidding me? I mutter. What? The Chancellor asks. Nothing, just working on solutions. Judge Wilson, my 70-year-old neighbor from 2 doors down, approaches in his morning robe, coffee mug in hand. Quite the commotion, Mike, he says, eyeing the growing spectacle. Morning, Judge. Just a small technical difficulty. With about 4,000 students as collateral damage, Sarah adds. Judge Wilson sips his coffee thoughtfully. Is this Brenda's doing? The cable? I nod. He glances across the street. You know, when I was still on the bench, I saw a case where cutting telecommunication lines was classified as criminal tampering, felony in some jurisdictions. I see Zoe perk up at this. Really, Judge Wilson? Indeed, particularly when it interferes with essential services. He gives me a meaningful look. University finals might qualify. Dad, Zoe says, her eyes wide with teenage enthusiasm for drama. You should totally call the cops on her. Let's focus on fixing the cable first, I reply, though the idea holds a certain appeal. Sarah is back at her truck, digging through equipment. Mike, I might have a way to bypass the cut section, but we'd need to run a temporary line. Through where? She points to Judge Wilson's house. If the judge doesn't mind, we could run a temporary line from his connection, split it, and create a bridge. Judge Wilson smiles. My internet is at your disposal. Anything to see Brenda finally face some consequences. Within 30 minutes, my front yard resembles a bizarre tech triage center. Sarah and I are working together to run a temporary cable while Raj directs us via video call. Zoe has taken it upon herself to update a growing crowd of neighbors about the situation. Jenny, the young lawyer who moved in last month, approaches with her coffee. I hear Brenda's on a rampage again. she says, surveying the scene. You could say that, I reply, stripping wire with borrowed pliers. I'm a corporate attorney, but I'm pretty sure what she did is illegal, Jenny offers. Want me to draft a cease and desist? At minimum, she's liable for damages. That would be amazing, I say, genuinely grateful. Jenny nods. Consider it done. I've been looking for a reason to put my legal skills to use against the ridiculous patio furniture restrictions. As our makeshift solution takes shape, I notice Brenda on her phone, gesturing angrily. 20 minutes later, a police cruiser pulls up. You have got to be kidding me, I say, standing up from where I've been crouched over a connection point. 2 officers approach, one older with a weathered face, one younger with a regulation-perfect uniform. Morning, folks, the older one says, Officer Martinez, according to his nameplate. We received a call about unauthorized commercial activity and vandalism. Yes, that would be me, apparently, I say, stepping forward. Michael Reynolds, this is my home. He's running an illegal business from his residential property, Brenda announces, having materialized beside the officers. And this entire contraption violates at least 7 HOA regulations. Officer Martinez looks at the cables running across the yard, the makeshift command center, and back to me with weary eyes. Sir, can you explain what's happening here? I take a deep breath. I'm the Dean of IT at Westlake University. We have finals today. My neighbor cut my internet cable because she claims it violates HOA rules. Now 4,000 students can't take their exams until I get back online, which is what we're trying to do. The younger officer, Johnson, looks confused. She cut your cable? Like, deliberately? With garden shears, Zoe chimes in helpfully. We have witnesses. Brenda bristles. I was enforcing the covenant that everyone signed when they purchased property here. Section 47.3b clearly. Ma'am? Officer Martinez interrupts. HOA bylaws don't supersede state laws against vandalism and destruction of property. Brenda's face contorts in disbelief. I am the president of this homeowners association. I have every right to... You have the right to issue fines, place liens, or take civil action, Officer Martinez says. You do not have the right to destroy private property. Would you like to press charges, sir? Officer Johnson asks me. This is the moment I've been waiting for. The perfect opportunity for revenge. I look at Brenda's shocked face, then at the growing community of neighbors around me, and finally at Sarah and Zoe, who are watching expectantly. Not at this time, I say finally. I just need to get this system working for the students. That's my priority right now. Officer Martinez nods. Understood. We'll document the incident in case you change your mind. He turns to Brenda. Ma'am, I strongly suggest you don't interfere further with Mr. Reynolds' repairs. As the officers leave, a Comcast van miraculously pulls up. I've never been so happy to see a utility vehicle in my life. Reynolds' residence? The technician calls out, looking bewildered at the scene. Oh, thank God, I breathe. Yes, that's me. The tech surveys our makeshift solution with professional skepticism. This is not code compliant. I know, I say desperately, but we're in the middle of a crisis. 4,000 students, university finals, crazy neighbor with garden shears, it's a whole thing. Just give us 4 hours, Sarah adds. You can tear it all down afterward. The technician looks at our pleading faces, then at the news van now setting up at the end of the street, and sighs. I didn't see this, he says, then pulls out his equipment. But I can help you make it less likely to start a fire. With the technician's help, our jury-rigged solution comes online just as the first exams are scheduled to begin. Raj confirms the systems are stabilizing. The chancellor, who has now arrived in person, watches the first students log in successfully. I don't know whether to fire you or promote you, she tells me, watching the chaos with remarkable composure. If it helps, this is technically outside of university property, so it's my personal crisis, I offer. Not when it affects our entire testing infrastructure, it isn't, she counters, but there's a hint of a smile. As the morning progresses, more neighbors join the effort, bringing Wi-Fi extenders, power strips, and even refreshments. It turns into an impromptu block party, the kind of community gathering I never expected when I moved here 6 months ago. Around noon, as things finally stabilize, Jenny approaches with an older woman I don't recognize. Mike, this is Patricia. She was HOA president before Brenda. Patricia gives me a sympathetic smile. Brenda took over after her husband left her for a tech executive at his company. It might explain some of her animosity. I feel an unexpected twinge of empathy. That doesn't excuse cutting my cable. Of course not, Patricia agrees, but sometimes understanding helps. Later, as students successfully complete their first round of exams, I notice Brenda watching from the periphery. The neighbors are celebrating our success, and even the news crew is doing a positive story about the neighborhood that saved finals week. I make my way over to her, bracing for another confrontation. Your AT-AT lawn ornament is still 3 inches over the height restriction, she says before I can speak, but the usual venom is missing. I'll take care of it tomorrow, I promise. Look, Brenda, I understand you're just trying to maintain the neighborhood standards. She seems surprised by my conciliatory tone. But there are better ways to address concerns than taking garden shears to people's property, I continue. She's quiet for a moment. The committee meets on Thursdays. You should come. File the proper forms for your technical needs. It's not an apology, but it's something. I'll be there, I say. Properly dressed, of course. A month later, my backyard hosts a neighborhood barbecue. The chancellor has promoted me to vice president of technology, partly due to the positive press from our crisis management. Comcast has installed a new, properly permitted cable, and the HOA has a new, expedited approval process for temporary technical needs, championed by, of all people, Brenda herself. Sarah brings the drinks, and Zoe invites her friends, only moderately embarrassed by her parents' presence. I still can't believe you didn't press charges, Sarah says, handing me a beer. Sometimes you have to know when to escalate and when to build bridges, I reply. Plus, I think she's actually starting to like me. As if on cue, Brenda arrives with a casserole, pointedly ignoring the 3-inch too tall AT-AT now relocated to my backyard. Your permit for the satellite dish was approved, she informs me. Just make sure it's at least 18 inches from the roofline. Thank you, Brenda, I say, genuinely grateful. As she moves on to critique Judge Wilson's choice of lawn chair, I catch Sarah's eye, and we share a smile. Sometimes it takes a cut cable to connect people in ways you never expected. The Great Cable Crisis has become neighborhood legend, embellished a little more each time it's retold at community gatherings. And whenever a new family moves in, I make sure they know 2 important things: where to file their HOA permits and which neighbors have the best Wi-Fi signals in an emergency, just in case.